Welcome back to the letters that John wrote. We are in the second chapter of the first letter that John wrote. We've been learning a lot about our Christian faith. We know that it's not just lip service. It's just not a matter of saying, I'm a Christian, even though that may be important to do at times. It's about how we live. It's about how we reflect the life of Christ, and especially about how we express our love for one another. And that is where we get into this text where John is writing and he says, it's about really loving each other, because if you don't love each other, it's no good. If you don't really care and do the works of love that are needed, then it's not really any good, because we are to love each other as Christ loved us. And Christ loved us sacrificially, unmeasurably, and unconditionally. And that's really difficult if we don't do that right all the time, because of our frailty in our human sinful estate. But he goes on to say in verse 11, where we pick up, but the one who hates his brother or his sister is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Hatred blinds us to so many things, and we see that in our culture constantly. Hatred is the desire that someone is dead. You don't have any use for them. It's zeroed out. No value. When we love people, we see value in them, and we'll do things for them to help them, to encourage them, to sustain them, to do whatever it takes to help. When we hate people, we don't want anything to do with them. In fact, we wish they were dead. In fact, hatred will take us to the point where we will murder and kill. And we see that going on constantly in our culture. What is interesting is it's not just always as we would perceive it between ethnicities and races. It's between people groups that have no real distinctives visibly, but they do in their theology, in their philosophy, and in their authority. In other words, their governmental issues. These are the problems that we face, and there is a lot of hatred, and it blinds people's eyes to what? To the truth, to the light of Christ. When hatred swells up in someone, the light of Christ isn't there anymore. And that's the problem. Jesus said in Matthew, I think it was the 15th chapter, and in Luke the 6th chapter, he says that the blind cannot lead the blind, or they'll fall in a pit. Wow. In other words, if all these people filled with hatred get together, they're going to fall off and destroy themselves. And that's what we will see happen eventually. It's a cycle in history, in the formation of man's chronology, that continues to happen. And we need to pray and seek God and walk in the light of Jesus Christ. And we do that by loving each other, by what we do and by how we say it. We'll pick up in our next verse in our next session.